Today's a good day. I hope it is a good day for all of you as well. Why is it a good day? Well, there's many reasons. Mainly, I'm not sick anymore. So that means no more playing on chess.com like a 1200 elo. Because that is what happens when you play when you're sick. Or when you play Blitz on your phone. Or don't even get me started about Bullet on your phone. That is egregious. But we're not talking about that. We are talking about a Fischer game today. So the year is 1961 in Slovenia. The match, or the game rather, is between Fischer and Yefim Geller. Geller was no scrub. He was a top-level Russian grandmaster. He coached Karpov. He coached Spassky for World Championship matches games. He was a good guy at chess. I didn't know him, so I don't know what else he was. But let's get into it. So we get e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, and we get a Spanish, as usual. a6, the bishop slides back. Now we get d6. So a little less common, blocking in the dark squared bishop, but opening up the light squared bishop. This bishop will sit on e7 and become good in the middle game. Remember, eventually black wants to play d5, so it'll have high hopes later on in the game. But it's no beauty at the start of the game. Castles, bishop to g4. Okay, now, interesting. What do you play against bishop to g4? So a good rule of thumb is typically to meet bishop g4 with h3 in the Spanish. You see, let's say, for example, c3. I love these c3 systems. It allows you to play bishop c2. It allows you to get d4 in. It stops the knight from coming to d4, as I see many people lose from that pin. So I love the move c3. But why is c3 a problem here? Well, the reason c3 is a problem is because they have this queen f6 idea. And you see, you stopped the exploitation of the pin by the knight, but you did not stop it by that of the queen. I mean, you can't put anything on d2. You can't block it with a bishop. You're going to get doubled f-pawns, and your king is going to be wide open. Whether you decide to trade queens or whether you don't decide to trade queens is on you, but your king is wide open. That is not dependent on you. That would be dependent on your opponent, who would hopefully find it. And let me turn on the evaluation. I know you guys like that. So, pawn to h3 is better, right? Stopping queen f6 because they need to move their bishop. Typically, black does not take yet. You take with the queen. Knight can't even come to d4 because it is pinned. So that was an idea I was talking about more so. So we get bishop h5. It's a little worse on h5 where it only has one square to retreat to, but it's still pinning. Okay, now we get c3 and we get queen f6. So Geller was quite happy with this move, but Fischer was happier with this move. So that means it's not a great move. And you see, with the bishop on h5 right now, it buys you time to play g4. Yes, you are extending pawns in front of your king, but no, if you're active, the king will be in no sorts of danger. Okay, black is attacking the e4 pawn, but what do? Do we defend it? No. We play active chess above all. d4 striking in the center, utilizing c3. And okay, why can't the bishop take on e4? Well, let's find out, because the bishop does take on e4. So again, activity. Knight bd2, you give up a pawn, but you gain a tempo. Here, Geller elects to slide back. He could take. This was an option. We would get knight takes, probably e4. Probably we would pin the pawn on the e-file. They might go d5, but you see, we just have a lot here. All for the cost of a pawn. And we're going to have even more. I mean, oh, that was a mouse slip. I've been mouse slipping. c4, and you see black is not castled. This is very good for white. But okay, we get bishop to g6, retaining his bishop pair. Fair enough. We get a damaged pawn structure, and we get an even more damaged pawn structure. So we get double isolated pawns on the c file, we get an isolated pawn on the a file, and we get a pinned pawn on the e file. Also, keep in mind, they're open to go queenside, but are they really going to go queenside? That looks not good. But they're very delayed on going kingside. So you see, we have a bunch of activity for the pawn. And now we're not even down a pawn. Knight takes e5. Brilliancy number one. He played this game at 97 accuracy, Fischer did. Oh, you know why else today is a good day? I woke up and I got one of my first hate comments, which, I mean, does not bother me. But it was from the match in the park. And the guy commented with his account and then his burner account. He was like, this is so staged, just stop, like, this is garbage, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, that is such a great compliment. Like, it was so good, he believed it was staged. So that's another reason the day was good. But the reason I thought of that is because he probably has a 300 elo. So he'd probably play queen takes e5 in this position, end up losing his queen. He's probably one of those players where he's in check and he's trying to capture a piece because he doesn't know he's in check, and his clock runs out because he can't figure out why his piece isn't moving. Or the game ends because he's in checkmate and he's like, why did the game just end? I was about to capture a piece. So, yeah, one of those people. He'd go queen takes e5. But Geller was good, so he went bishop to d6, leaving the knight on the e-file. But now the king is open on the e-file. Let's see how Fischer jumps on that. Okay, knight takes g6. This was a fascinating move. So the reason it's fascinating is because it looks scary, right? It looks like black is going to play h takes g6, and he has the open h file. It looks very scary. But look at this line. He basically outcalculated his opponent as he was best at. That is what he was best at. I could speak. Knight to e4, forking the bishop and the queen. Queen would optimally come to h4. Look at this. Knight takes, pawn takes, queen takes, queen takes. It looks like you are getting mated, except they are getting mated because we have the move. So he just outcalculated his opponent. H takes g6 looked good, but it wasn't. So Geller had to take with the queen, and now Fischer checks him. He could block this, but he didn't want to remain pinned, so he moved his king to f8, where he believed it was safe. Knight to c4, adding pressure onto the bishop. I wouldn't really call that a safe king, but black has counterplay, and so he strikes with h5. If you see ghosts, you will be scared in this position, because your g-pawn is pinned. They're about to have a checkmating attack. Timing is everything. Knight takes d6. And here he should have gone queen takes d6. If Fischer avoided the queen trade, yes, he would have double isolated pawns on the c-file, but it was the lesser of the poison available. But instead we get c takes d6, fixing his pawn structure. You know, fixing. They are still hanging pawns on the 6th rank, and Fischer amounts pressure to it. So bishop to f4, two people on d6, it would come with almost checkmate. So how is he going to respond? Okay, pawn to d5. So he should have went rook to d8, guarding it like this. But then, I mean, it's just a very good position for white. We'd get something like this, and the bishop is very good, and the knight is okay. But white's rooks are going to become good, and it's not so clear how black's rooks are going to become good. So white would definitely have the edge in that position. However, he played d5, losing on the spot. Try to find the move. If you thought of queen b3, give yourself a pat on the back. This is a good move. And look at this. So the point is their rook is essentially trapped. H takes g4, queen b7. Look at that. It looks like you're getting checkmated. Pawn takes check. If you go king here or here, then you do get checkmated in one move. That is not very good. But the bishop covers the dark squares, and nothing can pry the king open. So don't see ghosts. There's nothing here. I mean, let's say they go h2, just king e1. There's no more checks, so the king is safe. So after the move bishop to g3, Geller played rook d8. And how do you put this game away as white? Play the move queen b4 check. And the development played the biggest factor in this game. The king is trapped. The knight would have... Oh, Geller resigned here. Knight would have to come to e7. Queen takes, king g8. Queen takes d8, and now you can win however you do so choose. You're up the world in material. So, nothing like a day of seeing Bobby Fischer clamp down a world-class grandmaster. A nice game, and a pretty flawless one. As always, thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Have a great day.